Good morning, my name's Lindsey Heer. After 15 years in MedComms agencies, I've recently started freelancing. One of the first projects I worked on was helping Peter with a careers guide for people just starting to think about a career in medical communications, specifically in account management. What I want to do today is take you through the core topics of that careers guide, and I'll show you how you can find and download the full careers guide at the end of the presentation. So before we get into that, I would like to put account management in context. And to do that, we're going to talk about Treatment X. Treatment X is a new medicine, a drug, a medical device, a biotechnology product that has enormous potential to improve patients' daily lives. It might slow progression of their disease, it might lessen the impact of a side effect, it might mean they don't need to take painful injections on a daily basis. All of that is quite a rare situation and very exciting for the scientists that discovered it and for the pharmaceutical company that owns the right to launch, market and promote the medicine. To get to this point, Treatment X has been through rigorous testing in the lab, in animals, in small groups of healthy volunteers, in small groups of patients, to find the right dose, to test its toxicity, to check that it's safe enough, and then in large phase 3 pivotal studies to establish the safety and efficacy of Treatment X in its patient population. Once we've got to that stage, all of the evidence is submitted to a regulatory authority, the European Medicines Agency, for example, in Europe, or the Food and Drug Administration in the States. If they decide that Treatment X is needed and that its risks are outweighed by its benefits, then they'll give it marketing approval, authorization for that pharmaceutical company to launch, sell and promote that medicine to the healthcare industry. All of this process is against the clock. And here's one of the pivotal factors in why pharmaceutical companies engage MedComms agencies. At some point in its development, Treatment X will have been patented. Once that patent expires, any company can try to make and sell Treatment X or an equivalent version of it. So the race is on to recoup the pharmaceutical company's investment. They have eliminated thousands, tens of thousands of compounds to get to this point. They've invested probably up to $2 billion and taken 10 years to get to this stage. So they probably only have about 10 years left on their patent. So what they will do is then communicate Treatment X to various audiences, because Treatment X is only useful if people know about it, if doctors who can prescribe it understand how it fits in. So they'll engage a series of specialist agencies for different audiences. For example, they might use a PR company to develop a disease awareness campaign for patients. They might work with a market access team who focus on the cost effectiveness and the health economics of how this drug fits in. MedComms, generally speaking, and this does vary, will focus on publications, medical education and scientific liaison. Now this is generally targeted towards a healthcare professional audience. So essentially making sure that data from all of those investigations gets into the hands and is understood by experts, clinical experts around the world, who can then explain it to others, and also to doctors, nurses, pharmacists, so that they understand where the treatment fits in, which patients will benefit most from it, and how it compares to the other treatment options available. Publications involves abstracts, posters, manuscripts at medical congresses and in scientific journals. Medical education scientific liaison can involve a whole array of projects, from printed leaf pieces, literature summaries, digital tools on iPads, animations, and large live events to engage that healthcare audience. So that's understanding what MedComms is. If it sounds like your cup of tea, then we need to decide what account managers do and whether you're the sort of person who would suit that role. So we'll go back to Treatment X. Most agencies, although their structures and their organisation varies, are set up into account teams. So you will have the Treatment X account team at an agency. And team members can work on one or more accounts depending on how much work is involved. They tend to be commercial and scientific roles. I am generalizing. There'll be commercial and scientific leadership. That might be an account director and a scientific team leader or editorial team leader, and job titles do vary. Now, within all of these projects that we've talked about, slide decks and manuscripts, you can understand that someone's writing those, and you can understand the need for medical writers. If you put those writers into a thriving business, you can also understand the need for account managers, and they support the day-to-day running of the account. There'll also be, obviously, in any business, people like human resources, IT, maybe an office manager, designers, digital programmers, all of these supporting teams, but we'll focus on the account managers. In a nutshell, they are there to make sure projects are completed on brief, on time, and on budget. Now, starting out, when you're learning the ropes, this can involve quite a lot of admin as an account manager, but these are fundamental building blocks, and if you master these at the beginning of your career, they will stand you in very good stead for any commercial role. So things like setting up meetings, writing really nice, succinct minutes from those meetings, contacting clients with emails to chase decisions or information, putting together invoices, doing research, all those kind of tasks. As you develop as an account manager, you'll get more involved. So maybe closer liaison with your client team. You're sharing your ideas, your recommendations, really working as a partner with them based on your experience. Furthermore, you might then end up leading an account team, and that can often involve line management, mentorship, running and checking your profitability, your productivity, all of those kind of business side of things. As you progress further, you may manage more people, you may manage more accounts, you may be responsible for a portfolio of accounts under one or more client companies. And then eventually, your prospects escalate. As you learn to work with different people and understand the business side of things, you'll be looking at how things are done, whether you can make them better, more efficient, more effective, looking at financial targets for your team, and really throwing yourself into the management, the training, the recruitment, all within that agency. So, how do you get started? A scientific background, I won't pretend that it's not helpful, because it is, but it's not always essential. And MedComms agencies don't expect you to come to them with any direct experience in an agency or as an account manager at this stage in the career. What they do expect is several core key skills that you can demonstrate throughout the application process. So as an account manager, you'll need to communicate very clearly. You'll need to verbalize your ideas, explain plans, and ask sensible questions, and make sure people listen and understand you. So you need to demonstrate that throughout the application process. Likewise, when you submit your CV and by email, account managers are going to need hawk eyes for details. So make sure that that's evident to potential employers as well. So check for typos. They will be put off by poor language skills and a casual email that's sending a very formal CV and application. Teamwork. Now, as much as high quality, efficiency, organisation are very important once you become an account manager, why we enjoy work is usually because of the team around us. So you need to demonstrate that you are able to get on with different types of people, because you will have various clients and colleagues that you need to work well with throughout your career. So don't ignore the fact that you mentored someone at university, that you captained a hockey team, that you worked in a customer complaints department. All of those are very useful, and agencies will see the utility of that on your application. And finally, be organised. There are always changes in the last minute. It's a fast-paced environment in agencies, and the key is not to panic, and you will know exactly what to do if you're well organised. You know how to shift deadlines, priorities, who you need to speak to, who you need to communicate to about any changes. So again, demonstrating organisation in your application is important. But where do you start? Probably most people are going to go online first of all, and that's a very sensible idea in this case. There are some really good resources available now for people considering careers in account management and in MedComms in general. The first place I would go is firstmedcommsjob.com, where you'll find obviously links to NetworkPharma, careers guides, articles from people who've started out, all sorts of useful information. Likewise, MedComms networking is a little broader. There are lots of links to useful resources and information on meetings there. LinkedIn is somewhere where you'll have your professional profile. It needs to be professional. It needs to stand up to scrutiny by potential employers. It probably doesn't need to share your direct contact details, but you can join useful groups there and keep an eye on agencies advertising for roles, open days, that kind of thing. And once you've been through those, especially First MedComms Job and MedComms Networking, you'll have an idea of some of the key agencies in the business, and then you can start to look at their individual websites, establish what kind of work they do, whether they take speculative applications, and whether it's the kind of place that you might like to work. One of the best things you can do next is some networking. So increasingly, agencies are seeing the value of hosting their own open days. Now, sometimes this can be a screening process for them to see lots of interview candidates at the same time, because although agencies are often looking for people to join their teams, not all of them will take people without any direct agency experience. So what they'll do, if they are considering that, is host an open day so they can meet people one-on-one. You might have to pass a small test, for example, to get to an open day, but it's well worth going and having that in-person time and meeting the team and finding out more about the agency and asking all your questions. There are also several careers events. They tend to be organised in the hubs of agency life around the UK, so London, Oxfordshire, Cheshire. Again, always very clearly explained on firstmedcommsjob.com how you can get to those events, when and where they are. But that gives you a chance to make a good first impression on lots of different agencies, so well worth looking into. There are specialist qualifications available in scientific communications, and work experience might be something that's been recommended to you as general careers advice. By no means is specialist qualifications necessary, but they are available if you're interested, and it might help you find out other career options. And work experience isn't generally advertised, so an internship. I haven't seen many agencies advertising that, so you might need to do a number of speculative applications to find out who's willing to take on board an intern, but it should be for genuine work experience so that you can see all aspects of agency life. Applications, then, if you've decided, you've had a look at agency websites, you know what kind of work you're interested in, who you might like to apply to, most applications will be done directly through the agency website, or there'll be a contact details there that you can send your CV off to. If they just ask for a CV, I would encourage you to send a cover letter as well. It gives you a chance to succinctly and clearly communicate why you want to get involved in MedComms, why you think you'd be a good account manager, and why that agency in particular matters to you. They may well send you a test. This is routine for medical writers, but agencies vary on how they test account managers. It might be simple numeracy skills or attention to detail, those kind of tests. And then they'll probably invite you in for at least one interview, usually two, so that people have a chance to go away, think about their questions, and then go back again. You might have to do a small presentation, you might not. It does vary. So, you know what they're looking for in you. What should you be looking for in them? Not all agencies are the same. So, first we're going to look at the company. What kind of work do they do? Are they well established? Are they a bit part of a big network? Are they a startup? And which of those options do you prefer? How many clients do they have? And are those clients based in this country or elsewhere? Because this implies that you might be traveling quite a lot, which is very exciting when you're starting out. What kind of projects do they do? Are they focused on publications? Do they have a strong emphasis in digital delivery? And again, what appeals to you mostly? And what kind of support and development will they offer you if you join their team? Is there a formal induction and training program when you start out? Will all of your learning be on the job alongside someone? Will you have someone allocated to you to show you the ropes? What opportunities are there for training courses once you're on board? Because you might have different ideas about your ambitions, and it's a good idea to have a really good think about that before you start. So, if you've been reading industry press, you might have the impression, not incorrectly, that it's harder for drug companies to find new candidates and new medicines, that clinical trials are becoming more and more expensive, that there's a real restriction on what pharmaceutical companies can and can't do in terms of how they promote their medicines. So where does that leave MedComms? Is it a bleak outlook? Far from it. Pharmaceutical companies continue to grow. People, unfortunately, will always need healthcare. And there's exciting avenues in terms of more personalised medicines, more targeted treatments, digital tools to connect with patients, and also preventative medicine. And these remain complex topics that need clear communication from specialists. The last point I would make is that your enjoyment in your career does largely come from the team around you. So take the time to find a company where you think you will fit in well. And I wish you the best of luck. All of this information is available in a careers guide, which is free to download and available on firstmedcommsjob.com and also on my LinkedIn page if you want to follow up with any questions. Thank you for your time.